From day one, nearly 100 years ago, Bellwether Community Credit Union has been deeply committed to delivering exceptional financial solutions with extraordinary personal service. Rooted firmly in New Hampshire communities, Bellwether has adopted and diversified to meet consumers' ever-changing needs and wants, including those of area nonprofits.
The most important thing about the preliminary relationship with Bellwether then was there was a sense of not just being a member. It was more about they understood the need to invest in the community.
We're proud of the work we've done on behalf of our members and community, and we look forward to serving New Hampshire nonprofits as they work to make our region a more vibrant and diverse place to live.
And in these times, to be able to know that we have the financial grace as a result of the financing and the relationship we have with Bellwether has meant that we can focus on how we continue to improve lives with the power of divorce.
Good evening. We're coming to you from the beautiful Bank of New Hampshire stage in downtown Concord, New Hampshire. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Gretchen Stallings, and I'm the Executive Director of Volunteer New Hampshire. Although we are physically apart, it's so wonderful to gather together this evening to celebrate the remarkable service that happens all around us. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to many changes this year, including this event's transition to online. We hope to resume celebrating the Spirit of New Hampshire Awards in person in the future, but I'm so excited by what we've worked together to create this year. For those of you who are just getting to know us, Volunteer New Hampshire works to promote service in our state in all its forms. Our activities include supporting the 8 New Hampshire AmeriCorps programs that are currently operating and serving as a resource for all national service programs. Providing training and resources to nonprofits and individual volunteers through our website and annual Governor's Conference on Volunteerism. Marketing volunteer opportunities to people across the state, especially through our online volunteer opportunity database, Get Connected. And celebrating the volunteers and volunteer champions that work to strengthen their communities with events like this one. Now I'd like to pass it over to Steve Epstein, Chair of the Volunteer New Hampshire Board of Directors, to give us a sense of what this evening will look like.
Thank you, Gretchen. And thank you to everyone in our virtual audience for tuning in. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we'll be highlighting award recipients in a variety of categories. Governor Sununu will join us shortly to present the 2020 Governor's Outstanding Volunteer Manager of the Year Award. And later on, we'll interview 2 individuals who have gone above and beyond in their service fields. Then, of course, we'll close out the night by awarding the top honor, the Spirit of New Hampshire Award, and announcing our first ever People's Choice Award. As an exciting addition to the event this year, we have created videos that showcase each award recipient. We'll be playing highlight reels from each category tonight, but we encourage you to visit our website and Facebook page to check out the full videos. And don't forget that it's not too late to vote for the People's Choice Award. Voting will remain open until 7 p.m., and then we will announce the winner live.
Now, this event would not be possible without support from the greater community. I'd like to acknowledge all of our sponsors, including our luminary sponsors, McLean Middleton and St. Mary's Bank. We are so grateful for the support they provide. And we'd especially like to thank our legacy sponsor, Bellwether Community Credit Union, for all of their generous contributions to Spirit of New Hampshire Awards since 2007. They've truly been a champion of volunteerism. We're extremely grateful to Bellwether and excited to be partnering with them once again.
We'd like to start out tonight by talking about a very special award. Historically, the Volunteer New Hampshire Board of Directors has selected an outstanding individual, group, or organization within the New Hampshire community to receive the Community Pillar Award. These award recipients are recognized because their work has fostered the civic engagement of others and has provided a lasting impact on New Hampshire communities. Volunteer New Hampshire is in the midst of celebrating our 20th anniversary year, so we're taking the time to look back on all that's been accomplished over the course of 2 decades. While the Community Pillar Award is a little bit younger than that, we've decided to take this opportunity to recognize past awardees for their service rather than selecting a new recipient. After all, what better time than now to reflect upon some of New Hampshire's finest community pillars and the great work they have done and continue to do within their communities and beyond. On behalf of Volunteer New Hampshire, I am honored and pleased to highlight our 11 past Community Pillar Award recipients. Our very first Community Pillar Award was presented to WMUR in 2009. They were recognized that year for hosting 2 successful job fairs that resulted in 700 people securing positions, and for holding a live informational call-in show for people to ask questions about the H1N1 pandemic. Sue and Walter Staples received the award in 2010 for their generous contributions to many charitable causes in the state, not the least of these being their dedication to the Spirit of New Hampshire Awards. Between Sue's event planning know-how and Walter's videography skills, the two helped to elevate the quality and impact of the event. In 2011, then Governor John Lynch was recognized for setting the standard of what elected officials should do during major emergencies. Respectfully dubbed the Master of Disaster by the Red Cross, John Lynch skillfully led New Hampshire through more than 10 declared disasters. Dean Caiman and First received the award in 2012. Dean Caiman is an inventor, an entrepreneur, and a tireless advocate. First, the nonprofit he created is an organization dedicated to motivating the next generation to understand, use, and enjoy science and technology. A truly volunteer-driven organization, First harnessed the power of over 100,000 volunteers in 2012, the year they received the award. In 2013, the award went to the Singer family and Merchants Automotive Group. A tireless advocate for their communities, the family and company are involved in a wide range of organizations. Merchants even has a charitable contribution committee to fund causes that are meaningful to their employees. In 2014, the award was presented to the Grapponi family, owners of the Grapponi Automotive Group. They were recognized for donating funds to hundreds of community organizations and for their years of service spent on various boards of directors. Dick and Barbara Couch of Hypertherm received the Community Pillar Award in 2015. They have made a lasting impact by donating time and expertise in the form of employee volunteerism, stewardship of the environment, and awarding financial grants. In 2016, the award went to Fidelity Investments for their Fidelity Cares Day initiative, an annual education-focused day of service. Fidelity was also recognized for their partnership with Common Impact to utilize their employees' expertise to support local nonprofit organizations in building capacity to serve their communities. Bellwether Community Credit Union received the award in 2017. In addition to their support of volunteer recognition, Bellwether encourages a culture of service among its employees. Their employees contribute thousands of hours of volunteer time to nonprofit organizations, doing everything from helping out at the food bank to organizing financial literacy career days for local students. Team Rubicon received the award in 2018 for their disaster recovery work and for their focus on recruiting veterans. Here in New Hampshire, Team Rubicon is our go-to organization for cleanup after disasters. Our most recent awardees, Governor Chris Sununu and First Lady Valerie Sununu, were recognized in 2019 for their support of national and community service. Since taking office in 2017, Governor and First Lady Sununu have shown that they are dedicated to not only increasing service in New Hampshire, but also to making service accessible to all. Thank you to all of our past Community Pillar Award recipients. New Hampshire is a better place because of your dedication to philanthropy, volunteerism, and civil service.
Unfortunately, Governor Sununu has had something come up, and he's not able to join us this evening. That means that I have the honor of recognizing another individual who's gone above and beyond in fulfilling her duties. The recipient of the 2020 Governor's Outstanding Volunteer Manager of the Year Award. This award was created by former Governor John Sununu to honor volunteer administrators and salute their excellence in leadership and management of volunteers in New Hampshire. Recipients of the award achieve excellence and creativity in their work, and especially in two areas: program and planning and organization, and recruitment and directing. Award nominations are reviewed by a panel of previous recipients of the award. This year, Nicole Finitsis has been selected as the Outstanding Volunteer Manager of 2020. Nicole is the volunteer coordinator for Beacon Hospice, an Emcee company in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Nicole is creative, empathetic, and caring. She's known for her impressive matchmaking ability to pair hospice patients with the perfect volunteer, and for making each and every volunteer feel supported and appreciated. Nicole is also well respected by her peers and serves as the regional mentor for the Emcee offices in New Hampshire and Maine. Nicole is beloved by everyone she works with, as you will see in the video we're about to share.
So this started a few months ago, and we're happy to finally tell you that you've been selected to receive the Governor's Outstanding Volunteer Manager of the entire year, because we all—
Oh my gosh, guys, come on.
Yay!
Thank you. I am just blown away. I am like, whoa.
Certainly start by saying a little bit about what we do here at hospice. And we focus on end-of-life care and comfort. And really, it's about maintaining a good life experience in those last final days, hours, months, even a year or two. And we do that by working as a team.
So Nicole, as the volunteer coordinator, show that she is able to retain her volunteers, which she obviously is very adept at, and because she has so many. And she does, she really finds ways to meet the patient needs above and beyond the medical piece that is so often known at hospice, more of a quality of life and things that really matter to the patients.
The other effort that she keeps moving all the time is something called tucking calls.
Mm-hmm.
And this keeps the families tied to her also, in that she has volunteers that call every week and finds the status of the family members. So it completes the circle of care.
She will go out of her way, to make sure that if we've got a veteran that's on Beacon Hospice service, that, we get there in time to be able to recognize them. And for that, just that alone, in my book, thumbs up.
I call Nicole the matchmaker a lot of times because of how hard she works to match details that come up in my social work assessment initially, and finding someone that, has some common interest, it's not just finding a volunteer for a family, it's finding the right volunteer. And she works so hard at that. Even when I bring up strange requests, maybe from a family, things that maybe I don't even know if we have, but she has such great retention and ability to engage our volunteers that sometimes when I'm saying, French is their first language, is there anyone that speaks French? Is there anyone who likes to do this certain craft? Is there anyone who, does whatever? And so often she can say yes, you know, we have someone who wants to do that. And that's so wonderful that she can provide all of that.
And I'll jump in with 93 volunteers. That means she's learning as much as she can about each one of us.
Yep.
And she remembers it. And she listens to you so many times. You know, you'll have a conversation and you will think that, oh, they'll never remember that, but she is awesome at usually right off the top of her head, she'd come up with, again, doing those matches that people have mentioned. And there's nothing I like better than getting an email or a phone call where she says, Chris, I've got the perfect patient. And you just know it's going to be a great experience.
In addition to all the wonderful food she lays out when we are having training in person, she makes each and every one of those, 93 volunteers feel like they are the most important person on that team. And that's an incredible gift. And I love being part of that team.
If you're working one-on-one with a patient, it would seem you'd want to have some kind of place to debrief or find out what other people are doing. And these volunteer meetings are a perfect place for us to get to know other volunteers and get to learn from them under the guidance of Nicole. So, you know, just all sorts of good things.
And this has been a particularly challenging year for everybody.
Yeah.
You've managed to kind of keep us all together. So,
sure.
You know, and that's your work.
Yep. And it doesn't go unnoticed.
It definitely, I knew when I could tell where things were headed that I did not want to lose connection with people. And I know that's been my drive and my mission ever since. So just the fact that you did this, I'm like, wow, I guess I did something right. So thank you so much.
Right.
Yeah,
Lots of things.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for your service and congratulations. Now, it's my pleasure to turn it over to our favorite Emcee, Nazi Naz of 105.5 JYY.
Oh, hey. All right, well, I'm socially distant. I'm alone, so I can take this thing off. But this is staying on for the time being. Hey, what's going on? It's Nazi. And thank you so much for tuning into the 2020 Spirit of New Hampshire Awards. And hopefully tonight, you're going to feel the spirit. And believe me, we all need to feel a little joy. 'Tis the season. Now, I've been involved with this event for several years now, and I'm thrilled to be back again hosting, although in a very different format than I've done in the past. We still have an awesome agenda lined up, including 2 live interviews that I'll be hosting a little bit later on. The first is with James T. McKim, Jr., to talk about his social justice volunteer work in the Granite State. And the second is with Jamie Adams, where she'll share what it was like to volunteer full-time in long-term care facilities that was hit very hard by the COVID-19 pandemic earlier this year. You won't want to miss either one of these interviews. But first, we're going to recognize each of this year's Inspiring Award recipients. The Volunteer New Hampshire team and the Event Planning Committee have interviewed nearly all of the awardees and their nominators. And all of these videos are available to view right now at volunteernh.org. And while you're there, don't forget to vote for the People's Choice Award before voting closes at 7 p.m. sharp. The next portion of the event is dedicated to showcasing the 6 outstanding award recipients, as well as showing some highlights from each category. So what do you say we get things started? The first category is Youth and Young Adult, which is made up of individual volunteers ages 22 or younger. The outstanding award recipient for this category is Isabel Povey. Isabel began fighting food insecurity at the age of 7. Since then, she has been advocating to find solutions to alleviate hunger, not only in the Granite State, but also around the globe. To that end, Isabel volunteers with the New Hampshire Food Bank, primarily helping out Saturday mornings at the JFK Mobile Food Pantry and at a variety of local soup kitchens. Isabel also founded Isabel's Seeds of Hope, which is a nonprofit organization that provides vegetable seeds as a sustainable source of nutrition. In the midst of the pandemic, Isabel has found ways to continue providing support to her community by organizing food drives, collecting water for a neighborhood whose well went dry, and inspiring her friends, family, and local community to get involved in everything she does. Congratulations, Isabel. Now, it's clear that Isabel has earned the Outstanding Award for this youth and young adult category, but all of the awardees are very impressive and inspiring in their commitment to service. Let's watch the highlights from all of the award recipients in this category.
Everyone has something to share, and Seeds of Hope is all about realizing and releasing that power, because whether you're donating some spare cans to your local food pantry or even just sharing a smile with someone, you are making an impact.
I think my favorite aspect of volunteering is the fact that you can directly impact communities. At the end of the day, you know that the work that you're doing is benefiting somebody.
During volunteering during last year, I organized International Festival on campus. During that festival, we had food, culturals, dances, cultural clothes from all over the world and the country. And we also had a discussion part in that program.
There's this quote that I really like. It's, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path.
You could see like their growth either in their schoolwork, in their personal growth. And that was probably my favorite part of getting to see them.
And at the end of volunteering, we like all make a meal and we sit down and eat the meal together. And it was just like the most lovely example of what a community can be.
My favorite aspect of volunteering is rolling the socks. They have to be rolled a certain way. And when I was at a packing event, a veteran told me that they have snowball fights with the socks that they receive, and they throw them around at each other. And I just thought it was amazing.
All right, next up is the adult category. And with that, I'm going to lose the hat just for now. We'll bring it back a little bit later on. This involves individual volunteers ages 23 through 64. The Outstanding Award recipient for this category is Mary Beth Stockton. Now, Mary Beth cares deeply about others. She identifies needs in the community and tackles them head on with contagious enthusiasm that inspires others to join in her effort. Now, for 17 years, Mary Beth has volunteered at the Upper Valley Haven, going above and beyond in everything that she does, including serving 5-course lunches on Fridays. Additionally, she's provided hundreds of hooded bath towels to families served by the Haven and Good Beginnings of the Upper Valley. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Mary Beth has also stepped up to help lead a mask-making effort, the UV Mask Makers, that has provided tens of thousands of masks for the Upper Valley region of New Hampshire and Vermont. Mary Beth is known and appreciated for her boundless energy and willingness to step up and help others. Congratulations, Mary Beth. Now let's see the highlights from Mary Beth and the other adult award recipients' interviews.
But I realized that the people that were coming on Fridays, since the Haven at that time was not open on Saturdays and Sundays, they were actually trying to get food for the whole weekend. So I started making 5-course meals, basically.
She had hazmat and decontamination training, and I think that was so helpful in the facility, given COVID and how quickly it spread. So she was just amazing. We could count on her. She did whatever the hours they needed her to do. Staff were really just really loved her experience that she had, and just her work ethic was incredible. So, so she even took it upon herself to onboard some of the other MRC volunteers that went in for just a shift or two. And that was a big help. That was a great help to me. So just amazing.
I'm thankful that a community member nominated me for such an award. I feel reinforced to do more volunteering work in the community and my future days.
Even though I moved to the United States, my motive didn't stop. I joined the Everest Sentient Lions Club and contributed my time as when needed. We got very active during this COVID-19 pandemic in trauma planning, contribution to needed ones.
And my social input inspired me to get involved in this type of social organization and work as an active social worker, as a volunteer.
Without her, we would have, again, an empty reception chair, an empty, welcome ambassador seat, and it does impact the services we provide.
That was the big hook for me, is seeing that some of these students had never held a screwdriver in their hand before, and here they are building a fully functional ROV, testing it, using it, and having a lot of fun doing it. You could see it waking up the concept of, technical careers are maybe a possibility for me.
When the world needs to change, we don't need to keep things constant. We need to change things. So we need people who are part of a volunteer organization, something that's larger than themselves, to make that change. And what your group is doing, lifting up volunteers, is so critical to helping volunteer organizations find people and to make that change.
Rick hasn't just made a difference for some hurting children. He's been the difference. And over the last decade, he's advocated for 8 children, and he's given over, I wrote it down, he's given over 2,200 hours and driven over 7,400 miles in his decade of service to CASA and to the children of New Hampshire.
The mission of CELT is really what drew me to the organization, just conserving the significant lands in our communities for outdoor recreation, clean water, healthy forests, fresh food. And it's so important. I mean, these lands are, once they're consumed, for development or whatever that happens to be, that's it. There's no going back.
She's allowed us to have our event by providing some really strong graphic and promotional design to our product, which we feel has enhanced our ability to promote our annual event.
I became a donor and knew that at some point I would become much more involved with the organization. And when I retired a couple of years ago, that's what I did. I got involved about a week after I retired. It was the first thing I did.
Actually we had an open house there at MST one evening.
The next category is the senior category, which is made up of individual volunteers ages 65 or older. The outstanding award recipient for this category is John Barry, better known as Jack. Jack has been a longtime volunteer with the Aviation Museum of New Hampshire. In the past year, however, Jack has taken the lead in the new initiative, a hands-on project in which local high school students at the Manchester School of Technology are building an actual airplane. Since the program started in September 2019, Jack has led a team of 20 students and an equal number of volunteer mentors in all phases of the complex building process, coordinating schedules, training students, assessing tasks, as well as checking and inspecting work. He has a knack for getting people to want to do their best. Jack inspires loyalty from other adult volunteer mentors, which leads them to contribute time and expertise to the plane build project to help today's students become tomorrow's aviation professionals. He also wins the confidence of students despite their age differences over 6 decades, with his open-mindedness, his plain-spoken demeanor, and his willing to share his stories. Congratulations, Jack. Now it's time to show the highlights from all of the award recipients in the senior category.
Actually we had an open house there at MST one evening, and one of the female students brought her father in, and all her father kept saying was, "I cannot believe you are building this." And she was going through the airplane explaining what she was doing, what she had done, and what parts of it she was building. And that's all he could say. "I cannot believe you are building this."
One of my biggest beliefs is to pay it forward and give back. And I've just enjoyed the scouting program and all the things I've been able to do in scouting.
It takes people like Greg and others that are giving of their time and energy to look after our properties and our camps and the program to make the program work.
We supported her very closely, and she never did have a relapse. And I have told her since then, we've talked about it on occasion, and I have told her that I just see that as an extraordinarily courageous thing that she did.
All the good that comes out of here, with students, with the staff, with the horses and everything. It's just a wonderful place to be at.
I have a small staff at AARP New Hampshire. We do have about 220,000 members in New Hampshire. So we can't do the work and reach those people without leveraging volunteers. And we cannot do it without inspiring them at the same time and retaining them. Mark is the retention and the inspiration.
I'm inspired by the service that everyone else does. And so, you know that one little thing is going to grow even to be bigger. And, it's like throwing a penny in a pond and then you see it get bigger and bigger. That's what happens with service.
When things are starting to come together, you've got walls together, you've got sheetrock up, you can identify rooms, and the client family comes in, generally a husband or a wife, and just to watch the gleam in their eye, and every once in a while they'll go out with a tear in their eye because they know that's going to be theirs. It's going to be wonderful.
That's the best thing that I could do, give my time to help people in need.
Yeah, I agree. It's very rewarding, and we meet a lot of wonderful, wonderful people.
Absolutely.
And they're all our neighbors, and they don't want to be in this situation, but we make it very easy for them, and we have gained a lot of friendships.
Being able to build that community is an integral to the success of our girls, but we consider that we're integral to the success of a community because of what we do for children. And a volunteer like Karen is what makes that possible for everyone that we serve and is better for our state.
Next up, the National Service category, which includes individuals being recognized for their service as an AmeriCorps member or AmeriCorps Seniors Volunteer. AmeriCorps, not AmeriCorps, is a federal agency that connects individuals and organizations through service and volunteering to tackle our nation's most pressing challenges. AmeriCorps members serve in a wide variety of ways, doing everything from mentoring children to supporting individuals through recovery from substance misuse. AmeriCorps senior volunteers are age 55 or older, and they serve through foster grandparent, senior companion, and the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, also known as RSVP. You can learn more about these AmeriCorps programs by watching the award videos at volunteernewhampshire.org or by visiting AmeriCorps.gov. That's spelled AmeriCorps. Now let's talk about the outstanding award recipient for the National Service category, Carol Austin. Carol has been a volunteer with the Monadnock RSVP Volunteer Crisis Center since 2003, participating in both the Neighbors Indeed Independent Living Program and America Reads, a national literacy program. During the 2019-2020 school year, Carol worked with 31 children in kindergarten and first grade as part of the America Reads program to help them improve their reading skills and promote a love of reading. During the pandemic, Carol made sure these students received their books with handwritten notes before the summer break and stepped up this fall to tutor students in school and to participate in a new pen pal program. In her service with the Neighbors Indeed program, Carol has continued to provide support to those she serves by keeping in regular contact via phone and connecting with them with resources to navigate these challenging times. Carol builds a great rapport with people of all ages and has been crucial in supporting the onboarding of new staff and volunteers with the organization. She's been an invaluable source of support for program participants, staff, and volunteers, especially during these very tough times. Congratulations, Carol. Now let's enjoy highlights from Carol and the other National Service Award recipients' interviews.
She's an incredible listener, which is a great skill to bring to volunteerism. And she picks up on cues with the people she works with. She's just committed and reliable, all the things that you want to see in volunteers.
My favorite aspect of volunteering is getting to help those around me grow. In my role right now, I support our VISTA members in developing their skills and reaching their goals for their service.
And so Lyman has really almost single-handedly helped us with so many of those ride requests, so many of them. And not only helped, but done it with a smile and with such a genuine, caring goodwill that it's impressed all of us.
It was this time last year, I was starting my first day of AmeriCorps, and I had happened to go to the Spirit of New Hampshire awards that day as well. And now it's full circle. I'm back here and I'm nominated. So that's crazy.
My favorite aspect is that for us, Nashville is a second family. It's not only like a place where we work or where I work. It's not a place where we go hang out. It's actually a family.
Bob has the biggest heart in the world. He gives to everyone without even thinking about it. He just wants to do good for others. And he does it with grace. He just expects nothing in return. And he's just the most open, loving man.
So I would definitely say the most rewarding is those relationships that I built and that I learned from.
Most of them don't have anybody that comes to visit or that they go anywhere with. And even if they have family, the family's far and in between. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction just knowing I'm making their day.
She just always struck me as being fun and open and outgoing. And as a senior, you know, with her own struggles, to still continue to want to give to those around her. You know, I knew instantly that she was just good people.
When you're part of national service, your country, it's a different level of caring, and it comes from you, from your heart to your country, and from your country to your heart. It's just such a rewarding feeling that you're not just helping your neighbor, but you're helping a lot of neighbors.
I love Jerry personally, and she's an awesome person. I'm just super glad that you guys are recognizing her because I think she really deserves it.
The group category is next. This category recognizes groups of 2 or more individuals who volunteer together or with the same organization. The outstanding award recipient for this category goes to the New Hampshire Food Bank Salvage Sorting Volunteers. The 7 members that make up this core group of volunteers at the New Hampshire Food Bank are truly committed to the organization's mission. As the only food bank in the state, the New Hampshire Food Bank distributed over 14.2 million pounds of food last year, which would not have been possible without this amazing group of volunteers. Their main responsibility is salvage sorting, which consists of inspecting and organizing non-perishable food donations. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, only a limited number of volunteers can sort in the salvage room. This core group has been responsible for all of the salvage sorting at this time. This group is dedicated, reliable, does their work with precision, and all group members have amazing can-do attitudes. Congratulations to the New Hampshire Food Bank volunteers. Now, let's watch the highlights from all of the award recipients in this group category.
You have no idea how much joy you're going to get inside for when you give back to the community, when you give back to your fellow man. You'd be surprised at how well it makes you feel.
Everyone was just so taken with their quick reaction, really in uncharted territory back in March, to immediately jump into action to do something. They inspired people, they organized people, they organized.
They say each of us is born with certain blessings, with certain talents, and it's a super blessing to be able to use those talents to help others.
Matt really made it a priority. Like, he was very deliberate about making volunteering a priority and set aside the time. And I think Cassidy just has a depth to him that is very genuine.
When somebody asks for example, a frap or something cold, and you make it and you bring it to their room and they go, "That was the best frap I've ever had." It's very empowering. You feel like you could walk on water. I walked back into that kitchen. I was like, bam. It's just such a nice feeling to know that you can provide that for someone and that they really enjoy it.
It is really heartwarming to work with these animals and their handlers, and to see the smiles that come in the rooms, and have the opportunity where some patients will really open up and talk. And I think they want to talk, and they just don't have somebody to talk to, and they feel more at ease when one of these dogs are in the room.
But we're really fortunate that we have active volunteers who have been able to continue volunteering with us, and we haven't had to shut down our program. We've been able to continue serving meals to our homebound clients throughout this entire period of time, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without the 150 active volunteers.
Like at the end of August, we had donated 40,000 masks, and now at the beginning of November, we're up to about 48,000 masks.
Beaver Lake is very big into volunteers in a lot of different situations because many hands makes little work. The more people you have, the less work it is for everybody else.
They work with their property owners to do a free property evaluation and a follow-up letter that kind of helps property owners see how their property and how their living affects the lake.
Fortunately, we still have that core group of volunteers, and we have new ones being added on every day. People who are taking care of their neighbors, people who are making a difference one ride at a time. We are very grateful to Volunteer New Hampshire, and we are so thankful for our volunteer drivers.
And so we knew from the start we would be depending on volunteers to help us with this orchard, but we just completely lucked out with this group in Deering that's just so, was so willing to adopt this orchard and really take on all those tasks with very little supervision and be able to just really kill it out there. It's been terrific.
We've arrived at the last award category, the Volunteer Champions. This category recognizes nonprofit and public service organizations and businesses for their volunteer initiatives. Some businesses, for example, encourage their employees to volunteer with creative incentives. Meanwhile, some nonprofits or public service organizations go the extra mile to foster an excellent sense of support and community within their volunteer programs. Our final outstanding award recipient of the night is the YMCA of Greater Nashua. The YMCA of Greater Nashua was started by volunteers in 1887 and continues to meet its mission only with the support of the nearly 1,000 volunteers who generously donate their time. Volunteer roles range from fitness instructors to early childhood education volunteers to food drive organizers. They have also provided support to the local community with COVID-19 relief through 2 volunteer programs, partnering with the United Way of Greater Nashua on the COVID relief food and produce distribution program, and providing childcare and remote learning support through its educational academic program. In total, YMCA of Greater Nashua volunteers donated over 14,000 volunteer hours last year, impacting over 35,000 individuals in the Greater Nashua area. Congratulations to the YMCA of Greater Nashua. Now, let's take a look at the highlights from the Volunteer Champion Award recipients' interviews.
One of the things that makes it so rewarding to volunteer for the Y is that the Y is addressing and able to innovate to address the current need in the community.
I myself was encouraged to do animal rights, has always been my passion. And, it was just encouraged. It wasn't that it could look bad on the firm or lead to sort of a negative reputation. It was, you have a passion for it, go give back to the community and do it and see what you can do to make a difference to make our community a better, stronger place.
It's important to give back because when our organization was founded, it actually wasn't founded, like Catherine mentioned, to be a company, an organization that was, profitable. Originally, it was all founded about providing care and resources to those who don't have access or can't get access.
Our motto is to settle here in New Hampshire as Americans and give our best to the society, to the country, to the community.
I think Maria's tireless effort in doing rehab, and it's just had a tremendous impact on New Hampshire's wildlife and ecosystem. Otherwise, there would be literally thousands of dead and suffering animals.
The volunteers are really the heart of the organization. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have as much peer-to-peer interactions as we do and did.
It's a very robust volunteer program here at the Boys and Girls Club. When I say robust, you're talking approximately 300 plus volunteers help support our professional staff in all our impact areas throughout the day-to-day activities.
But to take them to a bank and then get a bank to approve their commercial loan and then actually see the business start is also one of the most gratifying things, and it helps us
and it helps that small business get off the ground. And I think that's a big plus working as a volunteer with SCORE.
Congratulations to all of tonight's wonderful and inspiring award recipients. Now, before we get into our 2 live interviews, we'd like to take a moment to share a few special videos with you. First, we will hear from Congressman Chris Pappas, followed by Congresswoman Annie Kuster, and then Senator Maggie Hassan. And finally, I'll read a letter written by Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
This is Congressman Chris Pappas, and I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. I know this event looks very different from last year's, and I'm glad that it's being held to be able to honor all the hardworking volunteers across the state of New Hampshire and to recognize Volunteer New Hampshire, an organization that represents the Granite State values of service and selflessness. We're really fortunate to live in a state with such high rates of volunteerism and such a diverse, vibrant community of nonprofit organizations. This year, in the face of a pandemic and significant economic challenges, we need that help and support more than ever. You know, New Hampshire is a state where we don't shrink from our problems, and we certainly don't turn our backs on our neighbors in need. Volunteer New Hampshire continued to promote service and provide an opportunity for people to give back. From coordinating disaster relief to supporting children and the most vulnerable members of our communities, you've been an integral part of rebuilding and strengthening New Hampshire. The Granite State is certainly adapting, and that resilience is a product of the hard work and generosity of community members and volunteers all across our state. So I can't thank you enough for giving your energy, your time, your talents to the community efforts around our state that are making a difference. I really look forward to hearing about the good work that you all continue to do, and I'll certainly be cheering you on. So I hope the event goes well, and everyone please stay safe.
Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry we could not be together in person for this year's Spirit of New Hampshire Award, but please know my thoughts are with you as we join forces to celebrate these outstanding Granite Staters for their incredible contributions to New Hampshire. You know as well as I do that volunteerism is a proud and important tradition in our state, enriching our communities and improving people's lives. Volunteers do critical work on behalf of our citizens in fields like education, disaster relief, medical care, and much more. They play a significant role in making New Hampshire such a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, and I'm deeply grateful to every volunteer for their efforts. On behalf of the people of New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District, I send my sincere congratulations to this year's awardees and thank them for their dedication to helping others. I look forward to our continued work together to make our state a healthier, stronger, and even better place to live.
Hi, I'm Senator Maggie Hassan. I'm really sorry that we can't be together in person this year to celebrate Volunteer New Hampshire's Spirit of New Hampshire Awards, but we're all still grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is the safest way to do it, and I'm grateful to Volunteer New Hampshire for organizing this virtual event. And I really want to be here with all of you to join in recognizing and honoring this year's recipients. Ensuring that everybody can live independently and contribute to our economy and our civic life is crucial to building a stronger New Hampshire for all of our people, our businesses, and our communities. By working to include all Granite Staters in our society, Volunteer New Hampshire and all of those being honored today are helping us reach that goal. Each year, Volunteer New Hampshire recognizes everyday heroes who have made a profound difference in the lives of their fellow citizens by selflessly giving their time and effort in order to benefit other people. And this year, I am particularly grateful to all of the volunteers who've helped in our efforts to combat and respond to the COVID-19 epidemic. Thank you all for everything you have done to build a stronger New Hampshire. Stay safe, keep up the great work, and I really look forward to seeing you all in person again on the other side of this pandemic. Take care.
Thank you all for taking the time to help celebrate our amazing award recipients. As promised, I'd now like to share the letter that Senator Shaheen sent. Dear friends, I wish I could join you all virtually at this year's Spirit of New Hampshire Awards ceremony. Please know that I am with you in spirit as we celebrate the talent, goodwill, and generosity of New Hampshire's most dedicated volunteers. I thank you for applying your abilities and passion in a way that improves the community and bolsters the quality of life in the Granite State. I'm a big fan of Volunteer New Hampshire and its mission to encourage community engagement and highlight the efforts and impact of outstanding volunteers. At each year's Spirit of New Hampshire ceremony, we find a wonderfully diverse group from so many different walks of life that exemplifies the profound sense of service that defines our state. They assist their neighbors, help people break the cycle of poverty, and offer counsel and assistance to people who need it the most. Lives are saved and communities are improved because of their efforts. The compassion and goodwill of tonight's honorees is especially meaningful at a time when so many in New Hampshire and across the country are struggling and face serious hardship. It's inspiring to hear how these unsung heroes have committed themselves to service and giving back to the community. I know tonight's well-deserved recognition will only encourage them to continue their selfless work. My best wishes to you all in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Jean Shaheen, United States Senator. Thank you, Senator Shaheen. And with that, I'm thrilled to say that we've arrived at the first of 2 live interviews that Nazi will be hosting this evening. Nazi, let's get started with the first interview.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Gretchen. You know, there are so many important causes that the people of the Granite State give their time and energy to every single day, especially noteworthy causes in the endeavor to make our society a more just place for all. A number of the 2020 award recipients are dedicated to social justice efforts in one way or another. And one such volunteer is James T. McKim Jr. Now, James is president of the Manchester chapter of the NAACP and has been invited to join us live tonight so that we can hear about the important work that he is involved in. James, welcome to the Spirit of New Hampshire Awards.
Thank you, Nazi. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you.
Boy, thank you. Now, before we get into the questions, do you like my hat?
I love the hat. You're prepared for the season, getting us into the season, into the joy that we need so much at these times.
You know it. Now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to get involved with your community?
Well, as some of you may have seen if you watched my video clip, my parents planted the seeds at a very early age to be involved in our community. I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, and in the South, for African Americans, the church is your community. So had that influence. But my father was also a school principal, which meant that he was very involved in the community around the school where he was the principal. And again, that planted the seeds for me to engage in community work, even though I didn't really originally plan to be doing this kind of work.
Right.
I, in my early adulthood, just went through life trying to be the best I could, and I had degrees in computer science and technology. So I was in the technology world and wanted to just do the best I could there. But in the early 90s, and I don't remember who asked me, but I was asked to help find the town's first IT director, because I have been doing work in the technology space. And I just remembered my father saying, to him who much is given, much is required. So I said yes, and that was my first involvement in the town, where I met folks like our library director, Diane Hathaway, with whom I've been working ever since, and working on these community conversations for which Kelly nominated me. And just get involved in a number of other other organizations. I could tell stories about those too, but there's probably other questions we want to get to.
Now, you just mentioned conversations. What has it been like to engage your neighbors in conversations about race?
So I'd say interesting, challenging, and rewarding. These conversations are emotional work. They dredge up memories, they dredge up learnings that we've gotten from our parents and from the world around us, what Dr. Jennifer Harvey calls the fog and the air in which we breathe. And it's challenging for people to look at themselves and our nation, revealing some not so pretty truths about ourselves and our nation. So I try to take great pains to create environments where people feel comfortable talking about and living into the discomfort of this emotional work. It is uncomfortable for us to have these conversations. Yeah. Everyone struggles with this. I even struggle with this, and I have to lead these conversations, but it's important work. And some people respond, some people grow, some people don't get engaged at all. But what I find helps is to encourage people to keep in mind that it has taken us 400 years to get to this point where we are. And we're not going to solve this issue in our lifetimes even. It's okay to make mistakes. We're all human. Better to try and make mistakes than to be silent. And I just hear the words of Bishop Desmond Tutu, who said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. So it's challenging work, rewarding work nonetheless.
I gotcha. Now, how do you view the role of volunteerism in social justice work?
Oh, what a great question. We could spend a lot of time on that very question. But to try to simplify it, fighting social justice is not generally a good money-making venture. So because of that, volunteering is critical to get this work done.
Now, can you share a story about any positive changes you've been seeing locally in your community or throughout the Granite State?
Sure, positive changes. I've seen so many. More and more people, especially so somewhat unfortunately, but fortunately, after the killings of the summer of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, they're willing to talk about this issue. Even here in 91.2% white New Hampshire. And they express a fervent desire to do something about it. I've been asked to speak about the issue and help organizations to leverage the diversity that is in our state at a pace that's far above what I've experienced in the last few years. And I took over the branch as president of the Manchester NAACP really just in February. So just before COVID hit and just before the latest spate of murders. And it's just been so gratifying to see the interest that has been expressed. And the governor himself formed the COVID-19 task force and the Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability, Community, and Transparency, on which I served. And those have already resulted in changes to our healthcare systems, changes to the criminal justice system that I think are very positive for the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, if people want to get involved in this type of volunteerism, where do you recommend that they begin? And are there any specific organizations that you might recommend and point towards people towards?
Sure, there's so many organizations doing work around social justice. You just have to look at the organizations like the one I'm head of in Manchester, the NAACP, which, believe it or not, is predominantly white in membership. We have 3 branches around the state. We have my branch in Manchester, which actually because there are no branches north of Manchester or west of Manchester, our branch assists folks in most of the state. We do have a Nashua branch and a Seacoast branch. There are immigrants' rights organizations that are involved in doing this work. There's the American Friends Service doing this work. There's just so many organizations. You can just go out to the web and find an issue that you're passionate about with regard to social justice, be it immigrant rights or healthcare rights or law enforcement. Just Google that area and New Hampshire, and you'll find organizations that you can participate in to help do this work.
I'm sure they're full of wonderful people like yourself. Thank you, James, for everything you're doing to help New Hampshire learn and grow.
Thank you, Nazi, and my congratulations to all the award winners.
Absolutely. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, New Hampshire residents have answered the call to keep each other safe by staying home. But tonight, we'd like to honor those who courageously stepped out, risking their own health and safety to take care of those who needed it most. I'm honored to introduce to you Jamie Adams, who volunteered in a long-term care facility for more than 8 hours per day, 4 to 6 days a week for 6 weeks straight, caring for residents who were sick with the COVID-19 virus. Jamie, thank you so much for being here tonight. Oh, can't hear you. Is your mic on? It is on.
Apparently that helps.
There you are. Now I can hear you. Was your mic off? That's
Maybe.
That's the 2020 term. Your mic's on, or turn your mic off, mute yourself. That's the new term. So Jamie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to step up in the way that you did early on in this pandemic?
Sure. I've always been one of those people that likes to help out. I was a volunteer firefighter, stay-at-home mom. When the pandemic hit, I was also doing volunteer for one of the local hospice, Wentworth hospices. And we actually worked with Nicole Finitsis. She was one of our, the next couple towns over. And when COVID hit, I first signed up on New Hampshire Responds and got involved in the testing phase. And then when the call went out looking for help in a nursing home, talked to my family. I was lucky enough, my mom was living here at the time. And I asked if everybody was okay because I had a 2.5-year-old daughter. And they said, you know, go do it. That's who you are. And they supported me. And the only caveat to that was don't come home until it's over, when you're done working in quarantine. So I didn't bring it home to my mother and my husband who has a heart condition.
No, it sounds like you've got a great support system set up. Now, do you have any fears or hesitations around volunteering in this way while there are still so many unknowns that we're learning new things about it every day?
Fear from me, no. I think I was more afraid of passing it on to somebody else. When I went in knowing I was going to be working on the COVID unit, and I was totally comfortable with that, with my hazmat and decontamination and EMS background. I knew how to take care of, stay safe in under airborne conditions, and proper hand washing, and how to undress properly, showering as soon as I got home. I had a decon area set up in my hotel room. But my big fear was if I was a carrier and didn't know it, passing it on to somebody. So just got to the point where I wouldn't even go to a store. I just had my husband bring me groceries. I had friends bringing me prepared meals because I couldn't cook or anything. So I was really kind of worried about that, passing it on to somebody else and not know it.
I think that's a very common fear, because that's my fear too. It's getting it and passing it on to somebody who might not be able to fight it as well as a healthy person. So I think that's a very common fear. Yeah. Now, what do you feel was the most meaningful or rewarding part of your volunteer experience in a long-term care facility?
I had a few. I don't know if I could even put one priority. One of them was making some of the friends that I made. We always talk and just say, I feel like we went through war together, different kind of war, obviously, but it was heart-wrenching there for a lot of the time. And we had a good support system with each other there. And then watching these residents go from not too sick when I got there, they were just at that point just starting to become symptomatic, become sick, and then sounds odd, but it was an honor for me to be there when they were passing because their family couldn't be. I think in a way, to me, that was rewarding because I was chosen to be there. And I think the biggest reward of all that through all of this would be watching some of these residents go from being so ill that we didn't think they were going to make it.
Turning the corner. Yeah, I got you. Now, did we lose her? Still there? Do you have any advice for others who are thinking about getting involved in a similar way? Do we still have Jamie? Such a 2020 problem here. The call has been dropped. Oh, I don't know. I think Jamie may be gone. We'll give her a second to see if she can come back in. While we're waiting, I've got to tell you that just what Jamie just said about feeling honored to be there while these people pass, that's got to be one of the hardest things about this whole pandemic. And I've heard a lot of people in the healthcare industry that they've said pretty much the same thing that Jamie just said about being honored to be there. It takes a very strong person. And I just want to say on behalf of myself and everybody here, thank you so very much to all of the healthcare workers. We need you. we need you through this whole thing. So tell you what, let's move on here. Let's get to our, let me see in my script here, Jamie, we'll turn it over to, so let's turn it over to Nathan Saller, President and CEO of Bellwether Community Credit Union, which is the legacy sponsor of the 2020 Spirit of New Hampshire Awards.
Well, hello, Nazi, Jamie, good to see you back. And hello to all the volunteers and the volunteer organizations throughout New Hampshire that have been working so very hard to ensure that our community members are safe, that they're not going hungry, and that they're receiving the medical care that they need, or that they're feeling a sense of companionship, even if they are physically isolated. The pandemic is, of course, the reason that we're conducting this year's event virtually. It's also the reason so many people are stepping up to volunteer, some of whom have received an award for their efforts tonight. Jamie, as I understand it, you were doing amazing work in your community before the pandemic, but you are being recognized because of the truly selfless act that you did when the crisis hit New Hampshire, and you knew you could help. I can only imagine how difficult it was for your family with you being gone, but you did that anyway. You stepped up, and your courage did not go unnoticed. In fact, Jamie, you were asked to be here tonight to be interviewed, but we actually have a surprise for you tonight. We've come to the part of the evening when I have the very special honor and privilege of announcing the Spirit of New Hampshire Award. This is a top award, and it honors one individual or group who, in the opinion of the nomination review panel, best exemplifies the spirit of New Hampshire, the spirit of service in New Hampshire. The name of this recipient is kept secret until tonight. I don't think anyone would be surprised to hear that you, Jamie Adams, have been selected as the 2020 Spirit of New Hampshire Award recipient. I have the award right here with your name on it. Congratulations. Do you have anything that you'd like to say before we show your video?
Thank you. I'm shocked. I did not expect that at all. There's been so many great things people have done. Thank you to the nominating committee or the award committee and Colleen Monks for nominating me, and for everybody out there for all their support, and to everybody in healthcare, keep pushing on. You got this.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So before we move on to the final award tonight, let's take a look at Jamie's video.
Jamie Adams, and I was a volunteer for Wentworth Hospice out of Somersworth, New Hampshire. And Seacoast Medical Reserve Corps, or SMRS, had actually sent out a request for somebody to fill in as an LNA at a nursing facility, a nursing home. And I spoke with my husband because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and we had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. And my mom was lucky enough that she was staying here with us for a period of time, and talked about it with my family, and they know I don't like standing around doing nothing if I'm able to help. So I answered the request for help, and that's how I got involved with Colleen. And then I ended up 6 or 7 weeks working in the facility, and then a 2-week quarantine after that. So I was away from my family for 2 months.
Right. I'm Colleen Monks, the South Central Public Health Emergency Preparedness Coordinator and South Central New Hampshire MRC Director.
What would normally be a nursing home ended up being hospital wards because these people couldn't leave their rooms. They were all very sick. I was working on the COVID unit. And so all of the residents that I was working with at the time were sick with COVID. They had all tested positive. Nurses running one way, I'm running the other, trying to get a person stabilized, getting their breathing and getting them on oxygen. All of a sudden, now you're going from LNA to EMT to try to help treat these people. So I saw the whole wave. Bunch of stable people to a bunch of unstable people, back to stable people. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of those residents in that time.
She had hazmat and decontamination training, and I think that was so helpful in the facility given COVID and how quickly it spread. So she was just amazing. We could count on her. She did whatever the hours they needed her to do. Staff were really just really loved her experience that she had, and just her work ethic was incredible.
Often while she was there, usually at pretty odd hours because of her work schedule, I was kind of one of the people she bounced stuff off to and vented to, and I that was an honor for me as well, because I know how difficult that was. And then I know that last 2-week quarantine before she could come home, where I swear that was tougher than anything else for her. But she made some beautiful puzzles, and she did the right thing.
My name is DJ Antone, and I am the volunteer coordinator for Wentworth Hospice. I would have to say that Jamie was, much as I hate to swell her head, one of the most unique volunteers I've ever had. She just gives everything she has, and often I had to rein her in because I was like, you got to balance things out here a little bit. But that's the way Jamie is, and because of it, a lot of people have benefited. I've benefited.
I found it hard because I'm emergency services oriented. So you're with a patient less than an hour. You don't know, you know their name and their medical history, and that's it. You drop them off at the hospital. You never see them again. And I found it difficult to be with these people, and you're getting close to these people, and a lot of them, you're the last one that they saw, the last eyes that they see, the last hand that'll ever hold their hand, the last voice that they're ever going to hear. And I think that will always stick with me, in hopes that nobody ever has to see that again, because it's not something that I'll ever forget, because I was the family, or, other caretakers were the family, and it wasn't easy.
What she did in COVID was just outstanding. And I just am so grateful that she was able to step up and do that volunteer work, and grateful from, you know, my community for the long-term care facility, and just having someone like that just during COVID to be able to do that and risk her own life and safety just to go in there to the facility was just unbelievable. So thank you, Jamie. Again, I can't say enough. She's just so deserving of this award. I'm so thrilled that she's getting this.
Jamie, thank you so much for all that you did. It was clear from the video just the close relationship that you have with your daughter, and stepping away from your family and serving those who really needed you. It must have been challenging, but we just can't thank you enough. I think it's very fitting that we're recognizing you tonight, and on behalf of all of us that are involved with this event, we're just so proud and honored to recognize someone as caring, compassionate, and willing to serve those in need as you are. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that brings us to the final portion of this evening, the first ever People's Choice Award to be included in the Spirit of New Hampshire Awards event. Nazi, I'll turn it back over to you to make that announcement.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Nathan, and congratulations once again for your service, Jamie. Wow, that video and just the amazing job. Thank you so very much. All right. Now, the Spirit of New Hampshire Award always goes to someone who is so deserving of the recognition, and that certainly remains the case this year with Jamie Adams. There's an extensive review and voting process with a whole group of community members who work together to select the recipient of this top honor. But this year, with the need to bring the event online, Volunteer New Hampshire wanted to make things a little more interactive. So they decided to introduce a new award, the People's Choice Award, for the first time ever. Now, voting for the People's Choice Award was open until 7 p.m. this evening, and there was an impressive amount of votes cast. The staff has counted up all the votes by hand. They counted them 3 times, and I'm very happy to announce the results. So without further ado, the 2020 People's Choice Awards goes to, let me do my little drum roll, Ishwari Bhatta. Now, congratulations. I hope that you are tuning in to hear the exciting news. The Volunteer New Hampshire team will be in touch so that they can get your award to you very soon. Let's take a look at Ishwari's award video to get a sense of why he was selected as the popular vote.
My name is Ishwari Bhatta. I am from Concord, New Hampshire. I volunteer with NHNC, which is Nepalese New Hampshire Committee, ILNS, which is International Nepali Literary Society, NRNA, which is Non-Residential Nepalese Association, and Lutheran Society of Volunteer New Hampshire. When they are in need, I think forming a committee to help develop as well as integrate society with culture and value as they live in utmost important as we grow. Also, uniting communities to be collaborate and learn on each other can be powerful tool for the community.
I work as a president of Everest Centennial Lions Club, New Hampshire. This is the first Lions Club, Centennial Lions Club. I nominate Bhatta sir, Ishwari Bhatta. I think he came to the United in 2003. Since then, we are together, building the community, working in this service in the community, in different area.
The experience that impacted me was when I organized and managed Second International Nepalese Literary Convention in Concord, New Hampshire, 2017, where every member from the organization participated from worldwide. I could see the impact of the gathering for everyone present at the venue. And then obviously COVID-19 pandemic is affecting all the volunteer work. There is no physical presence, and we must limit all the activities. However, we were able to communicate via different mediums to ask individuals what their needs were and help distribute person protective equipment, which is PPE, as needed. And we have been helping international students who are struggling with food by funding, raising fund and donating food. Our COVID-19 task force here in New Hampshire with the all organization here, we work as a social worker. Then we work since the beginning to now. We have every week, every Friday, we have a meeting. We collect the problems and find out the person who needed the problems, and then we are trying to solve their problem as much as we can.
But sir is a great character and simple, acting like a friend to those who are most in need one. He has also directly, personally raised funds for the community emergency. He has also frequently been asked to speak and presentation to the community as well as to the appear as the subject of variety of the community activities.
I feel so honored and happy when I hear it. I felt that my hard work, dedication, and contributions were being recognized by the community. I am thankful that a community member nominated me for such an award. I feel reinforced to do more volunteering work in the community and my future days.
Thank you, Nazi, for emceeing another wonderful Spirit of New Hampshire Awards event. And on behalf of Volunteer New Hampshire and everyone involved in the event, I'd like to offer my sincerest thanks and congratulations to all of the award recipients, including our Spirit of New Hampshire Award recipient, Jamie Adams, and our first ever People's Choice Award recipient, Ishwari Bhatat. We hope that you got all of your friends and family involved with this new award and had fun with the voting process. Before we conclude, we need to recognize the volunteers who helped make tonight possible. Thank you to our event chair, Renee Peralt, and the rest of the Spirit of New Hampshire Awards Committee and nomination reviewers who put in so many hours to create an exciting and meaningful event, even in the midst of a pandemic. A very special thanks to Aaron Dupuis for coordinating the nomination review process, Ariel Capteen for coordinating the review for the Volunteer Manager of the Year Award, and Bridget Williams and Katie Pazienza for contributing your graphic design and fantastic marketing skills. Also, thank you so much to the Volunteer New Hampshire Board of Directors for supporting us tonight and for stewarding volunteer service in New Hampshire every day. Once again, thank you to our sponsors for helping us to ensure that we could make tonight extraordinary. And finally, thank you to the Bank of New Hampshire stage for the lovely event space, and to everyone in the virtual audience for joining us this evening. Good night, and we hope to see you in person next year at the 2021 Spirit of New Hampshire Awards celebration. Good night, everybody.